And we kick off this evening with a look at the cinema.
I'm not a complicated man. I like cinema.
It's beautiful, beautiful cinema.
Cinema history come to life.
I found my solace in the small cinema I went to every Thursday night.
I'm a professor of cinema.
I go to the cinema for the stories.
There was no competition between the cinema and seminar.
I mean, it's not within the realm of conventional cinema.
And now,
here's Payson Johnson
with a cinema review.
It is Monday, May 12th, 2025, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Cinemaster Reviews. It's been a minute since I've talked with you guys. I've taken a couple weeks off, had some personal things 2 weeks ago, good personal things. I was out of state, and then last week I just wasn't really feeling it, but excited to be back this week talking with two smaller movies. Usually the second week into the summer movie season is usually a smaller release week, but still really excited to talk with you guys. We are going to be talking about Clown in a Cornfield. This is the new horror film from Eli Craig, as well as the new action film starring Josh Hartnett, Fight or Flight. Really excited to be talking about these movies with you guys. I say we jump right in, starting with our first movie of the week, Clown in a Cornfield. This is directed by Eli Craig, the same director of Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. This follows a father and daughter relationship. They are just moving into town, the new town of Kettle Springs, in a unspecified state. And while the daughter is trying to fit in, she's befriended by this group of kids who essentially tell her that there is a legendary mascot of their town named Friend of the Clown, and they make these videos where they appear as Friend of the Clown behind people, essentially trying to scare them. We've heard that there was an accident that happened a few years ago where one of the main characters' brother died. This kid's name is Cole, played by Carson McCormick. The main character we follow, Quinn, played by Katie Douglas. And then one night when Quinn and Cole are hanging out with their friends and they go to a party, that party ends up getting attacked by a group of murderous people wearing clown masks resembling Friend of the Clown. This might be a quick review, might not. All I'm going to say is this really is your typical prototype slasher movie, like if you've seen any Halloween movies or Friday the 13th movies, or even some like more unique ones like Happy Death Day or My Bloody Valentine. This is essentially like if someone said like, hey, pitch a slasher movie to me where someone moves into a new town, everything seems a little bit off, and then out of the blue, people start dying by a masked crazed killer. This is the movie you would probably end up with, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just have to say this is in no way pushing the horror genre forward in any way. Quinn meets a bunch of characters in her school. Cole has like 3 or 4 friends we meet, and they all make these videos together. Some of them are dating, some of them aren't. Really, if I'm being honest, when you first meet these characters, there's really nothing interesting about them. I'm having a tough time remembering their names in general. Honestly, my favorite characters we meet are the adults in this town. We have this one cop who just absolutely, he's the sheriff, and he just absolutely hates these kids. The fact that they don't really want to amount to anything. He keeps on viewing them as burnouts. He always thinks they're causing trouble, even when they're not causing trouble. They have this teacher who is like the biggest stick in the mud ever. His scenes, the one scene where you see him like in the class, like teaching and like trying to get on these and like trying to like run with his class, but these kids are just so obnoxious, is so much fun. He immediately starts picking on Quinn because Quinn is late for one day. He's really fun. Yeah, all the adults in this movie are really, really funny. Probably the biggest actor this film has is Kevin Durand, who plays Cole's father, who's essentially like not like the mayor of this town, but kind of like the kind of like the town crier in a way. Like he's the one that that like influenced the town's like behavior. He's the one that thinks like, oh, we have to follow this town's tradition. We're having this big Kettle Springs festival. When Quinn and her father move in, we learn there's a big festival and parade coming up, and he has this very like evangelical look, and he's kind of disowned Cole a little, but still wants to care for him. Kevin Durant is an actor I really, really enjoy. He was in War for the Planet of the Apes last year. He was one of the thugs in Abigail. Really liked him there. Pretty good here. But yeah, the majority of like the teenager characters, not the most interesting, which does kind of suck because usually when you're watching a slasher movie, you want to usually get attached to at least one of the characters before everything starts going down. And I just think these characters take a little bit of a while to get interesting. What I will say is this sounds like a movie that I would seem a little bit lower on, but what I will say, when the clowns attack the big concert that these teenage characters are going out to attend, when the action starts happening and when the kills start happening, this movie becomes a really, really entertaining film. And my whole thing is like, well, it doesn't have like the bare bone pieces that makes it like stand out above like the rest and say this is like an amazing movie. For a horror movie, for a slasher movie, it gets all the pieces done. And when the kills start happening, they are really, really fun. I think the fact that we are facing off against not just one like super strong like serial killer, but like a bunch of like normal people that are just in mass that are just trying to kill these teenagers because they hate their troublemakers, I think is a really unique fairly unique, slight like not like the most unique, but like a slightly different spin on the slasher genre than we've seen in a while. There's this one character, I forget his name, but we sort of start out hating him mainly because he's just super redneck and doesn't get along with the other teenagers, and eventually he befriends them when everything starts going on because he's the only one that went to this concert with a shotgun in his car, so he's the only one that they can really count on to defend themselves. The kills are really, really unique and really, really gory, and I did find that to be really fun. Usually, when you go to these horror movies, you do just want to see like really unique kills, and there were quite a few here. Honestly, both the movies I'm going to be talking about tonight have some pretty unique kills, but this one also does. And when we get to the third act, when we finally realize what is going on, why these clowns are trying to kill all our main characters, I think it does a really great job at setting up an exciting climax, and this movie did a great job of setting up all these potential characters that could be in the clown mask. And when you finally see who is in the clown mask, it is really fun because then you're like, oh dang, everyone is kind of against our main characters, and it's going to be tough to get out. And it leads to a really thrilling third act of our characters just trying to survive and kill everyone that's been trying to kill them in the movie. The movie does a great job at establishing the history of Friendo the clown and everything that happened prior to Quinn arriving in the town. Like it's sort of mentioned offhand that this factory had this giant explosion and it ended up killing some characters that were close to our main characters, but it doesn't dwell on it too much until until the third act, and you start to see how that impacted certain characters, how that impacted specifically everyone around them. And so the movie does a solid job at like easing you into the lore of the history of this world. And yeah, like I said, it does a great job at creating a ton of potential suspects for who could be the killer. Now, I will admit, when this movie starts, when you meet this friend group, when everything starts going down, you can kind of predict who is going to be living and who's going to be surviving if you just like start counting everyone and just realize like all their personality types, what purpose they're going to be serving. You essentially don't really have too many surprises on who lives and who dies because you can kind of tell what's going to happen. But it's not like the worst thing in the world. Also, with this being directed by Eli Craig, the guy who did Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, that is a very meta horror movie essentially of these murderous teens coming into like these coming into where these two rednecks live, and they end up start terrorizing these two rednecks. This one kind of has a few meta elements. Like, it definitely knows it's a movie and the characters are kind of like winking at the audience a little. doesn't do too much of that, and I really just sort of like questioned like, okay, why do we need these elements? Why couldn't we have just had a more straightforward horror movie? But again, that doesn't really get in the way of the story, which I did just I'll be honest, I found this to be a really, really like just fun, entertaining film. It's like barely 90 minutes, and it's a pretty quick watch. If I were to rate this on a scale of 0 to 10 videotapes, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. I definitely think it's a good horror movie. It doesn't reinvent the wheel by any means, but it's a real fun time with some really cool kills. If you are a horror fan, I would recommend you go see this in theaters. If not, probably one you can skip, but I do think it is still a solid movie that you will be entertained by. But yeah, I say we jump right into our second review of the night, that being, if I can find the banner, Fight or Flight. This is the new film from James Madigan. It's actually his directorial debut, and it stars Josh Hartnett as this retired, burnt out, just like borderline alcoholic ex-Secret Service agent, as he is called upon by an old informant, and he's essentially said, hey, we need you to go on this plane, and we need you to be the bodyguard of this target. We don't know who she looks like. You're gonna have to be the one to figure out who this person is. And when he gets up on the plane, he starts getting more and more information. And then his main informant, played by Katie Sackhoff, essentially tells him, hey, by the way, turns out you're not the only one who is on a mission on the plane. There are several bounty hunters on the plane, and they are trying to kill your target. Thankfully, none of them know who your target looks like. So you have to figure out who you're protecting, while also protecting them from everyone who's going to be trying to kill this person, and they're probably going to be wanting to kill you too. Now, while this movie takes a little while to get going, because I say the plot probably, like, that setup probably happens around like 25-30 minutes. I'd say those first, like, that first chunk is a little slow. Like, you're introduced to like this like shady organization. We know Katie Sackhoff probably isn't up to like the like best business, but we don't really have like too many suspicions of her. When we open up on Lucas, we know that Lucas hates Sackhoff's character. For some reason, we get a little bit more history there. Honestly, didn't really like that didn't really impact me too much. But once we get on the plane, and when Josh Hartnett's character gets his mission of saying, hey, you need to protect this mystery person, and everyone is probably going to be trying to kill you. You just got to find them quick. This kind of becomes the most fun movie ever. Like, okay, that's definitely a hyperbole, but I just love this concept of, hey, you need to protect this person. You have no idea who you're trying to protect, and everyone around you can be an enemy, so you don't know who can help you. And I'll be honest, Josh Hartnett does a perfect job at playing this aloof, yet at the same time morally upright and good character. Like at no point in this movie does Josh Hartnett's character feel like awake or completely there or in the zone by any means, except maybe towards the end for comedic purposes, which I won't spoil. But yeah, throughout the entire movie, he's just tired. He hates that he has to do this. Essentially, the only reason he's doing this is just to get like a clean slate and be able to come back into the country, because we learn he left the Secret Service not on the best terms. We did have to escape to a foreign country. Sackhoff promised, hey, if you protect this person, I'll get you a clean slate. And he's just trying to be like, look, this is my job. I hate it, but I'm going to be good at this job, and I'm going to try my best. The movie takes itself seriously to a point and is the perfect amount of like over the top nature. Like, the first person that Josh Hartnett's character kills, which, by the way, extremely bloody, extremely badass way of killing him. And the first time he kills him in this bathroom, he's trying to like put him up into this air vent, and he keeps on falling down. And then when the flight attendants come in, he's like, yeah, everything's gonna be okay. Body just falls down. And like, I love how like everyone on the plane that isn't trying to kill Hartnett is like acting sort of like it just started raining, like it's not that big a deal that all these characters are killing themselves, are like trying to kill each other on this plane. And Josh Hartnett does a really great job at leading this whole story and leading this film in like a way of like, he's not your typical action hero. Like, he always feels like he's a little bit under the weather, but I think that adds a lot to the comedy of it. Charithra Chandran and Danny Ashok do really well as like the nervous flight attendants that become like unassailable allies to Josh Hartnett's character in the middle of it. Like they figure out what he's doing. He essentially tells them, hey, look, I promise I'm not one of the bad guys. I'm just here to help. And they do their best to like try and keep all the passengers on the plane happy. There's another flight attendant that doesn't know all of it, but he's like super British in the way he talks. He's like super proper. And like there's a moment where Lucas is talking to him like, hey, we need to get everyone off we need to get everyone off this plane onto another level. By the way, this is like commercial airline where like one level is first class, the other level is like coach class. And it does a really good job of playing like with the location of the plane. But this guy's like, look, these people pay for a first class experience. I have to keep them first class because they would view coach classes as a demotion. And you're just like, this is crazy and insane, but like in the best way possible. There's a really funny ongoing joke where it keeps cutting back to two of the pilots who learn that there are like multiple bounty hunters on the plane. Instead of like freaking out and instead of like starting to panic, they start talking with each other like, dude, we're gonna get an insane movie deal. The book rights to this are gonna be off the roof, and you're watching these characters like trying to negotiate, like trying to realize like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be rich if we survive this, and it's really really funny. The climax to this film is the perfect amount of over the top, where we finally have like all the bounty hunters on the plane trying to kill Hartnett and the person that he's protecting, and it's like and I won't spoil what happens, but it gets a little bit more cartoony than the rest of the film, and it ends up going to a really really entertaining place. When you learn more why about the people want to kill the target, you start learning that like the target has like basics. They're kind of like a revolutionary in a way of how they're like in the cause that they're trying to take down, which is fun. Gets you on their side. Really solid. But yeah, this is just a really really over the top and fun action movie. What I will say, it does end on a very stupid cliffhanger, and that was probably my least favorite part of this movie. I wish it would have had a more final ending. It really seems like with this being such a probably like low budget thriller, they thought, hey, if it even gets like a modest budget, we can do a sequel. And I just thought that last cliffhanger ending was just really unnecessary, and I think I would have liked it more if it just would have ended in a more final place. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this movie. That's around the end of my notes. If I were to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 10 videotapes, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna go a little higher than Climb to the Cornfield. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I think this is a great, like, what it's trying to do. It is super entertaining. It is a fun junk food action movie. Kind of honestly what I wanted Working Man to be. Working Man took itself a little bit too seriously, and if we would have gotten something like Fight or Flight, I think I would have liked Working Man a little bit more. So I'm happy Fight or Flight could scratch that itch for me this year. But yeah, I really really enjoyed this movie. If you have the time, I would recommend going to see this movie. Honestly, this feels like a perfect afternoon watch, like perfect like matinee. Like as we're gearing up for the summer, we're kind of in between like blockbusters like we usually get in that second week, because no movie wants to open like right after Marvel just opened a movie. By the way, Thunderbolts, good movie. Would recommend you go see that. I honestly like this a little bit more than Thunderbolts though. So yeah, I think this is a really fun movie, and yeah, I'm all here for the Josh Hartnett-assance with both Oppenheimer, Trap, and now this. Really happy that he's back because he's a fun type of movie star that I like seeing more of. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Like this video and subscribe to the video store. It helps grow our channel a lot. Next week, we are going to be reviewing Final Destination Bloodlines. This is the 6th film in the Final Destination franchise. I've never seen a Final Destination movie. I know the concept, but I'm excited. I'm just hope I have a good time. And I will also be reviewing Hurry Up Tomorrow, the new movie by The Weeknd. I believe it also stars Jenna Ortega. So yeah, really looking forward to those. Thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure. And as always, watch more movies.
And the award for most vapid film review of the century goes to...
Okay, movie review. Okay, I thought it was beauty.
And he's now in cinema hell, where one day we'll all be reunited.
This is me at the Regal Cinema crying as I did through much of the film.